Most people never build passive income, but passive income is the key to financial freedom. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you make when you're not working. See, we don't want to just make a lot of money. We want to have the money and the time. I find that there's a lot of people who have the time and no money. That was me. And then there's other people who have the money and no time. But what good is one without the other? Who wants to have a bunch of money and have no time to enjoy it? But who wants to have a bunch of time like I did and not be able to do anything because you ain't got no money? You know what I'm saying? So the key is to have both. You want to be able to have your cake and eat it in this instance. And so passive income is the way you get there. But there's a lot of stigmas, I guess, around this whole thing of passive income. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And by the way, if you ever decide that you want to learn more about passive income, I actually wrote a guide that has 100 passive income ideas. You can grab that right in the description below. We're taught in school to get a profession and to learn a skill and learn a trade. And yes, all of that is good, but that puts us always in the employee seat. But at some point in our head, we got to get out of the employee seat and get into the ownership seat. And when you're in the ownership seat, you're looking for not how many hours can I work or how much money can I make. It's really more, how can I make money work for me, right? How can I earn income when I'm not working? How can I delegate? How can I have systems in place where you could either have money at work or people at work? See, in the beginning of my journey, I didn't have any money to put to work. So guess what? I learned how to put people to work. And what that is you have systems in place where you have people who work on certain systems and they produce in those systems and it generates profits for everybody, right? So you can do that. And if you have money, of course, you could just dump a bunch of money into a stock or a business or real estate or something like that. But for most people don't have it up front. So that's where you can put people to work or you can go to work. But if you go to work in a smart way, not just going to work hard, but going to work in a smart way where it could turn into passive income. Now, I do want to dispel a myth. Most passive income forms are not 100% passive. It's not like you just set it up and you walk away and it's just going to produce cash flow for you forever without any involvement, right? Now, does that exist? Absolutely. But many forms, you're going to put a lot of time in up front and it'll get to a point where you can back off and it will still produce for you. Other forms, you will still have to have a little bit of maintenance unless you're hiring people to do that maintenance. But in some instances, there are things that you may have to do yourself. So there's different levels and different forms of passive income. But at the core, it has to be a focus. It has to be a strategy. It has to be a plan. It can't just be something that you hope to have happen because hope is not a strategy. It has to be like, okay, I'm intentionally setting this passive form of income up. For example, let's just say you set up a vending machine, right? That's going to spit off cash flow, but somebody has to collect the money and somebody has to restock it. And so in the beginning, you may not be big enough to hire somebody, right? Because you just started it. So you're going to have to be the one to do that unless you start off up front and do that. But like other forms of passive income, affiliate marketing. Now, this right here, you're going to be promoting someone else's product, and you don't necessarily have to buy the product and then sell it retail or any of that. You're just kind of promoting the product. And by the way, here's a strategy that I do. I said I wanted to be in a position where I can monetize my life, right? And so anytime I'm doing something that anybody asks me about something that I have or that I'm using, and I get that a lot, by the way. People say, "Hey, where'd you get that tripod? Where'd you get this screen mirror? Where'd you get the mic?" By the way, I'll put a link to the mic in the description if you need it. But look, anytime I'm using something that people want to have, I find a way to have a link to it, right? Because I want to monetize my life. But this is another form of passive income because people go buy the product and then that company pays me even though I didn't create the product. Network marketing is one of the best ways you can generate passive income. Now, I know I get it. Some of you guys have a special thing about network marketing, but it's the way that I was able to walk away from corporate America at the age of 32. And it's a very legitimate business model if you really study it out and really start to understand how it works. Really, as a network marketer, all you're doing is playing the middleman. You're the middleman in between the clients and the customers. And instead of a company paying ads or billboards, they're just paying you directly to be the spokesperson for that product or service. And you can help get other people to help you to spread the word or spread the message about that product or service. And everybody gets paid. And what they choose to do is the people who join your organization, you get a chance to get paid for all of the sales that they make as well. So, I mean, it's a huge opportunity, but what it does is it gives you the opportunity for leverage, kind of like a franchise model without having to have the franchise money. So if you're looking to explore that, I highly suggest the network marketing industry. Don't fall into the hype of what other people say about the industry. There's good and bad in every industry. But just understand that it's a very viable way and probably one of the best ways to generate passive income. I have a friend who's an actor and he's a part of the same business that I'm a part of. And because he has this network marketing business that pays him passive income, he's able to go to these acting shoots and things of that nature and fulfill his passion because he has a predictable income that's coming in on a regular basis that he built that allows him the time freedom to focus on his passion. So it could be a very viable way for you to start to live your dreams and do the things you love because the income is set up that way. How about real estate? In real estate, it's a great way to generate passive income. The challenge is a lot of times you have to have a lot of capital up front. Not always. You can do wholesaling, right? In wholesaling, what you're doing is you're being the middleman again. So you're the person in between the person who wants to sell and the person who wants to buy, and you basically just broker the deal, and you get a chance to get a piece of the action, even though you didn't have to own the house and you didn't have to have the money, right? So that's another avenue where you can generate. Now that's not necessarily passive income, but it could build into some passive income, right? Like if you're able to set it up through systems and things like that. Here's what I mean: if you have systems in place where you can get clients and you can set it all up where the deals come to you and you just kind of brokering the deal and putting people together. And sometimes you can even hire some people who do some of that legwork for you. But again, it could be some cash flow up front in order to build that. Digital marketing. Listen, everybody has a problem and you may be the solution to somebody's problem. You just haven't created a product for it yet. So you create a digital product, whether it's an ebook, a course, a community, something that solves somebody's problem. And by the way, most of us, we are pretty good at something that other people call on you for all the time. If you're that person, then it's time for you to go ahead and create some digital products around that. And you can make a lot of money doing that. I created some ebooks myself, and people bought a lot of my ebooks, so that could be a great avenue for passive income because once you create the content and people start to know that it's you put it out there, then people can just buy it whenever they want. So you wake up and have deposits from you know digital products that you sold. You're listening to me sharing about passive income, and the reason why you gotta have passive income is because we don't want to have to work the rest of our lives, and we also don't want to retire and be at a point where now we start getting Social Security and stuff like that, and now we can't even enjoy life because we're in our older age, and maybe we're just not as healthy as we used to be, right? So the goal is to earn passive income right now and get yourself to a point where maybe you can retire early and now you can live life in retirement status type of thing. And I'm not saying retirement as in just laying around. I'm talking about just really living it up. I love this quote that Nicki Minaj says. She says that life is a prize, but to live doesn't mean you're alive, right? And it's just like we have this prize of life, but most of us are just existing through it instead of living it. And the way to live it is to have passive income so that we don't have to always have to work for the money, but the money will still come in and find us even if we're not working. But you got to be intentional about it. You have to be strategic. You got to plan for it. You got to prepare for it. You have to monitor it. All these things have to be in place in order for you to really start to generate some serious passive income. And if you look in the description notes down below, I'll put a link where you can get 100 passive income ideas. So you're bound to find something on that list that you could take advantage of, like today, like this week. And so go ahead and take advantage of that. Also, if you want to get like some of the things that I have here, like the mic and some other things that I use, I'll put that in the description as well in case you want to start. Hey, maybe you want to start a YouTube channel. That's another form of passive income, right? So there's lots of strategies, lots of ideas, but the key is you got to implement it and you got to take action and you got to be consistent with it. So take advantage of something and go start building your passive income. And look, we talk about freedom on this channel. So if you're looking for more ideas around freedom, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any other videos that we share here on this channel. Take care, guys. God bless.